Robin, issue 10. Josh Williamson writing with Roger Cruz on the art. I'm expecting Matt to have things to say. Maybe gush a little bit. So Robin's not exactly time traveled. It's more like he's on a mind pilgrimage.
He's tripping balls.
Vision Quest.
Because it's like he's traveled back in time for a bit, but then Mother Soul starts talking to him as if she knows who he is
directly,
and Raz doesn't even react. Young Raz doesn't react to it, so it's like, oh no, so this is not really time travel. This is more like they're in a memory, and now they're like interacting inside of it.
A little bit disappointing because time travel would have been way more fun.
I think that's fair. I was kind of relieved though when we started cutting back, because I was worried we weren't going to have the other characters for a while, because if we were doing a time travel story, so I kind of liked that we cut back to them and they're kind of reacting to Robin lying there freaking out.
And its cons, but it ended up being able to tell the story still. And that's the history of Ra's al Ghul and his mom.
And how
I never thought I would care about a story like that.
Yeah,
Williamson
I'll be honest, I still don't. This was a lot of exposition in the back half of this issue.
I didn't mind it.
Here we go. Right time.
Do you really feel that's not true?
I mean, I'm not even saying it's not true. I enjoyed it because I like the fact that it seems like Williamson's lining up the differences in the League of Assassins, the League of Shadows and the League of Lazarus, and none of them seem redundant. They were all arms off the same.
I don't hate the concepts or the story of what it is. I just like, if you go for the page where, so we're back in the the real world.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's around Robin, and then the page after that where it cuts back into the story. From there onwards, it's just, this is a lot of exposition backstory, and it felt like a lot of text to read.
I mean,
it felt like backstory as opposed to a story, to me at least.
I see. I thought it felt like a story, but I also really liked the Ra's al Ghul history stuff. It's up there with Vandal Savage, where you can put him in any era and see how he was. So I like seeing the whole idea of this man of science, how he was in medieval, whatever, medieval Middle East.
I think I'm definitely more towards Matt on this, and I had a good time reading this. I liked a lot of the mythology adding to it, and like you say, the idea that the League of Shadows was created, but then he also had the League of Assassins to go after anyone who would threaten his Lazarus pits. But then the League of Lazarus was created to find more Lazarus pits, but then they believed in the magic of the Lazarus, whereas Ra's al Ghul was not really magic based. And
this whole idea of ideology and almost religion, and how he doesn't need that because he has science.
The only thing that I have a slight nitpick with is I'm a little unclear, because on one of those pages that Connor was talking about, it casually mentions, so I think it's on that first one. So instead, he focused on science. His obsessions with cheating death inspired the creation of the Lazarus pits. And then later on, he says, he had to inflict the Lazarus upon himself, and that he was reborn, right? And he became the Ra's al Ghul we kind of know. I'm kind of unclear exactly how he thinks he created the Lazarus pit, when it also seems to be like a natural, magical, demonic occurrence.
That was my thing, because it made it seem like he co-opted whatever was there.
Yeah.
So in his mind, he's kind of doing that Luther thing, where he's taking credit for something, whereas Luther actually would have created it.
I think it's just a little bit murky in the story, where I was like, wait, what? Like, what? He just said he created it, so what's the confusion here?
Right.
I'm trying to find where it says he created. I know where he said he created those bits. But I'm trying to find if there's anything later that actually contradicts that directly.
I'm assuming that the Lazarus liquid itself is not something he created. It's more the idea of
he came across it. He recreated it. And now he's created his Lazarus pits, which for the longest time I didn't know if Lazarus pits were one use only, right? Like once you use them, because I remember reading a thing one time that once you use them, they're dead.
I think
so that's
the way I'm sort of headcanoning this from what I've read here is that a Lazarus pit's a lot like drilling for oil. Like once you find one and drill into it, you make a pit, and then you can use it. But the actual substance has to be there.
Stuff on the page after Flatline's like, it's like he's tripping, and Ravager's like, I hate magic.
Yes.
After that page,
you and me both, Ravager.
Yeah, I heard you say that when I was reading it, Pete. That's weird. But yeah, it said he denied anything that haunted him, and then instead focused on his science, his obsession with cheating death, inspired the creation of the Lazarus Pit. So he's adding something to the pit. So maybe it was something that was already occurring, and he just, added his whatever.
He's adding something to like increase its potency or something.
Right, but it is a little bit murky. But we get the fact that his wife died, and it turned him into this angry person, and that's where he became the whole idea of the demon that we know.
Yeah, and it's worth mentioning though, he takes the name of the demon's head, and he still doesn't really believe in the demon. He's kind of mocking it in a way by like sort of saying,
that's what I've always loved about Roz, right? Because underneath, he's the ultimate kind of Bond villain that way, to where he's created this persona for himself that he doesn't necessarily completely buy, except for after years and years and years when he's been doing this. Because when he finally brings his mom back, right, he looks like the modern Ra's al Ghul. So this isn't, this is what looks like it's been some time, to almost like he's drank his own Kool-Aid now.
Yeah, I mean, it changes from, they say, the demon's head, it's to mock them. He's above them, and we have, the idea that, we need to free, that his mom's like, we need to free the demon to purge the planet and start over, and Raz like, no, the Earth's worth saving, and that doesn't really track necessarily with modern Raz. He is kind of all for raise it all down. Let's go again.
Well, but I took that in the way that she wants to completely burn it, start again, whereas Raz has always been like, well, if we raise it all, then I have nothing to rule.
I think it's a point of contrast, because obviously this is still centuries ago, and more experience, more time turns them into the Raz that we kind of know him as present day stories. But I mean, even she points out his hypocrisy, because he uses the Book of the Demon to like trap her in Lazarus Island. That's kind of what creates this place as a kind of because she can't leave it, right? But she can invite other people. And part of the whole point of the tournament is to kind of feed the demon so that eventually it can kind of break out of it, and it'll take away the curse, if you want to call it that.
Right, which we saw, right, when it inhabited Connor.
Yeah.
And then,
but like this idea, she points out his hypocrisy. Like, you claim not to believe in the demon or the magic and stuff, but you just used it to trap me here. Like, so, he uncharacteristically used it as a tool, even though it was never his thing in the first place. But I do love there's this casual mention, and there's this one like 2-page layout that just sort of mentions, they went to war over what the Lazarus should be used for. The League of the League of Lazarus went to war with the Shadows and the Assassins over the control of the Lazarus pits. Like, I kind of love that at some point in history, Ra's al Ghul went to war with his mother over the Lazarus pits.
And this is where, for me, this feels like exposition backstory as opposed to because this feels like there's a story here. And instead I get this really condensed, here's 10 pages, give or take, of just, here's what you need to know, the cliff notes. The history textbook quick, rather than the story.
Yeah, but I think that with someone like Ra's al Ghul, that's fine, because he has been around for centuries. And who knows? Maybe
I want the 6-issue mini of this story.
Right. And maybe Williamson has that.
Maybe you can get that later. There's nothing to say you can't.
No, there's not. For me, I don't think this is presented in a particularly appealing fashion.
I think for me,
I had no problem with it. I got pumped on that.
I think for me, like this being thrown out there is like almost like a throwaway little thing, and there was a war over the Lazarus. Like to me, because I don't necessarily want a 6-issue mini about this war. I just like the idea that it happened.
Well, it's like, it's the idea of they are the true believers, right? They're the zealots. They're the ones that believe in the magic, and then you have Roz with the other side with the assassins and the League of Shadows. They're just mercenaries. Right? They don't believe in anything except for Roz's money or his support or whatever. And the fact that he ultimately won and trapped them on the island, and what that says about Ra's al Ghul.
I love that all of a sudden, like having League of Shadows, League of Assassins, and League of Lazarus doesn't feel messy now. It feels like it all kind of makes sense and fits together.
Yeah.
It's weird. There was like different,
and then
it was like different branches of the same thing that then sort of turned on each other. That's interesting.
Yeah, well, and then it goes back to when we saw Roz at the beginning of Robin during what was that issue 4, where he's all zenned out on the beach, and like, what's up with that, Roz? You know, like that doesn't seem to gel with the Roz that shows up at the end here.
Also, did we know that if you put a living person in a Lazarus pit, it will basically melt them?
Maybe just on this
just on the island, maybe
island, because they're feeding the winner.
Yeah, they're feeding it to the demon, right?
Yeah.
So it's just an interesting like contrast between like if you're dead, it'll make you be alive.
I mean,
again,
I don't know. I don't think we've ever seen a living person go into the Lazarus pit. Like, you know, maybe. But you're talking about that spread of the war, right? But then there's this, you know, page where where Mother Soul tells him, you know, it's not, he doesn't have power, he has the gift, and gives him this vision of this bat demon fighting the Lazarus demon. And I'm just getting vibes back to the first Robin series that Damian started in with the dragon bat.
Oh,
I
sure.
forget his name.
Goliath?
Yeah, Goliath. It was just reminded me of that era.
It's like, I like that this isn't like giving Damien superpowers because he shouldn't. He's a Robin, but this idea that he does have the lineage of the demon in him, so that, you know, he can tap into some of these memories and sort of like be connected to it. I think it's fine. And yeah, so the idea that we have like a bat demon fighting this more traditional demon is like, it's a perfect kind of encapsulation of like his character, because he is of the two family lines. Admittedly, yeah, it's a little, you know, convenient that once again there's a bat symbolism going on with something in history that has nothing to do with them. But
I would say this isn't actually in history though. This is just the stuff that's happening in his head. This is just representation.
Oh, so yeah, there's a personification of him. Okay,
that's him. That's the bat doing battle with our ghoul side, and you know, and that's the part that he has to. As much as he is Damian Wayne, he's gonna have to tap into being Damian Al Ghul.
Yeah, at some point. That's the bit where she's like, you know, right, we're really in your head. You got to choose, you know, what you're going to be, demon or bat, essentially, right? So I think it's just a artistic representation of them.
Which also goes back to the Morrison stuff in Batman 666, where he's kind of embraced both, and he uses magic and whatnot, you know. So I don't know if maybe Williamson's pulling back from that or whatever, but I really like the next part where he kicks his grandma into dust.
Well, because he realizes like, oh wait, we're in each other's head, so like Inception rules, I can just do things that I want.
Yeah.
So pardon me. That's what makes him wake up. And he's like, okay, we got to stop her. Do all this stuff. So basically, she sort of like tries to like make him feel like shit, because like, hey, I would do anything for my son. Would you do the same for your parents? How's your relationship with your father and your mother?
And mother.
Yeah. But yeah, so sure enough, the big cliffhanger is that Zen Raz is showing up with a sword, and is that Talia next to him?
I think it's Talia.
Yeah. So we're getting mother versus son next issue, as it says.
Is it more than once though?
Because she got Leviathan back, I believe, at the end of the checkmate stuff.
Well, that's the beauty of the double meaning, though, right? Is that you can have Talia versus Damien and Raz versus Mother Soul.
Mother Soul, yep. So, you know, I'm loving this book still. So it's a whole lot of fun to read. And as much as I was bummed out we're not doing a time travel arc, it's still, you know, keeping kind of what I wanted to do. I was going to explore Roz through Damien's lens. So that's a relationship I've always enjoyed. Like going back to Morrison again and the resurrection of Ra's al Ghul, and at a certain point, Damien realizes he was only just meant to be the vessel for Ra's, you know, because it has to be someone from his bloodline, and that's the whole reason he was around. And it always added this kink in the relationship. But I'm glad that we're over. So to see them being able to interact more, I really enjoy that.
Yeah, that's cool. All right. And the art, just a quick point, is same artist as last time, I think, but keeping up the style of the book quite faithfully, I think. Doesn't feel too altered. You know, I like Mother Soul's like reaction when Damien sort of breaks out of the dream effectively. As a nicely animated moment of like, it's a little cartoony, but that fits the stale of the book.
The book's been like that since the start,
Yeah, so it's good stuff. All right, Matt, what are you rating Robin issue 10?
I'm giving this an 8.5.
Very healthy, Connor.
I'm gonna give it a 6.5. I like the ideas, but just clunky execution for me.
I can't wait till the end of the year now that I'm keeping track of these, just so I can give our averages out and just see how much lower Connor is.
I'm sorry, I'm more critical.
Well, actually, I like this issue. I'm probably not quite as like, jizzing all over it as Matt is, but
I think everybody likes it as much as I do. So,
yeah,
and that's okay.
But I'm happy to give it I think it was an enjoyable bit of mythology that they're adding to everything here. And I liked it because Damien is also part of the Al Ghul family line. Is that it's really smart to tap into that to like make him feel unique amongst the Bat family members, and that he's got this like thing that he can tap into that's a different bit of history. So that's cool.